Jen, say good morning to Andy. Sit down. Knees out nice and wide, rolling the feet in underneath the body a little bit for those who can, and that'll help the knees fall a little lower. For you guys who know that you need the hips up a little higher, then you may want to sit on a towel. I'm going to do a little shoulder roll and then rest fingers at the knees, fingertips falling towards the floor. Starting to breathe, feeling that chest and spine staying nice and tall. Relaxing at the shoulders, closing the eyes down just a little. And then breathing nice and slowly. So sitting there, sit away please. Start to move into a couple of rounds of that cat-cow move from here. So pulling the heart all the way forward and looking all the way up. And as you breathe out, rounding out through the shoulders, tucking the chin tightly to your throat. A couple more rounds like that, really exaggerate how the heart lifts up. And exhale, let the elbows move forward so you can round out through the back. On your up move, tuck the elbows in by your waist. One more round of each. And come back to center. Feel yourself sitting on top of the hips on the sit bone, so a little bit leaning back rather than leaning forward. Interlacing your fingers, knuckles pressing out in front, wrists together. Drop into the shoulders just a little. Then on your inhale, lift up. So relax the shoulders, keeping the knees nice and low. Feel that length coming up, knuckles reaching all the way to the roof. 3 long, slow breaths there. On your exhale, float the knuckles forward. Lean all the way out in front, keeping the hips resting, knuckles resting on the mat. Letting the head drop between your hands, maybe a little draw in of the belly. Letting the back of the neck open. Take a big breath in, looking forward. Slide your hands into your knees, shoulders pulling back. Swing those hands interlaced behind the back of the body. Pull down between your hands and lift your chin to look up. So heart is pulling forward, mouth is closed, eyes are open maybe for a breath or two, and then you can close them. Take a look forward, come back to center, release your hands down towards your knees. I'm going to press out and push out onto one side. So round down through that heel of the palm. If your knee's up a little higher, you might use the forearm to press down a little. Keep pressing the hips down nice and low. Come back to center and then press all the way to the other side. Challenge your little range here, keeping the heel of the palm, keeping your knees nice and low. If you're able to drop in deeper, that other elbow might come to the floor. Pulling the body all the way back up, come back to center, change the cross of your legs. Again, feeling a little shuffle in the hips, draw the belly in. Hands resting at your knees, a couple of rounds of your cat-cow here, exaggerating a few things. So elbows pull in, heart lifts, throat opens, hair is touching on your t-shirt if you can. Take a breath in this up move. Feel that chest expanding nice and wide. And then we're just slowing it down as you round all the way in, chin tucking tightly to your throat and shoulder blades and ribs pulling apart at the back of the body. Take a breath here in your move. Then pull all the way forward. So rather one breath, one move. Come into your pose, exaggerate a little bit, take a breath there. And then roll out into the next move. Tuck your chin tightly to your throat, press the shoulders back and take a breath there. Pulling the heart all the way through, relax into your shoulders, interlace your fingers, press up and push up. Knees are staying nice and low. Feel the shoulders stacked on top of the hips, and ears and inner arms are pressing against each other for those who can. A little smile, and then we're dropping the throat all the way open. Eye gaze past your fingers, hair touching at the t-shirt if you can. Take a look forward, control your forward move, drop all the way in. Knuckles resting on the mat, maybe you can reach a little further out in front, letting your brow fall towards the floor. Feel that good reach forward, hips are moving backwards, belly's drawing up and in. Breathing's nice and long and slow. Walking your hands all the way in, sitting back on top of the chest. We're pressing out, pushing out, nice and strong, dropping the elbow a little deeper. So if your knee's a little higher than mine, then use the forearm to keep pressing that knee down nice and long. If you're able to, your elbow drops to the mat, but that top shoulder stays nice and open. That's it. Come back to your center, all the way to the other side. Drop one elbow in. Breathe in, come back to center. Sitting up nice and tall, gonna move your way into kneeling, toes together, shins to the mat. Shoulders pulling back. Pressing in so that you're not heavy onto your knees. And I've got my knees nice and wide. For anybody who needs support, you could be sitting onto a blanket. I'm gonna lift up, open up. One palm is nice and flat to the mat and a little bit away from your body, and then we're going to look back as you reach back behind your mat. Coming back to center, and then take that top set of fingers all the way over. Maybe you can touch the mat across the body. Holding here, you're looking down between your hands, drawing the belly in. Eye gaze nice and low. On an inhale, float that top arm all the way up. We're changing sides. Setting back into the heels so you're not leaning forward. Reaching out to the side, opening up. And on your exhale, reach behind you and maybe even look behind you. Feel that opening of the rib cage. Breathing is controlled. Coming back to center and across your body, reach all the way over. Hopefully you can touch the mat, either flat palm or fingertips. Eye gaze down between your hands. Keep trying to keep your heels connected on the floor. Take a breath. We're coming back to center, reaching out in front for child's pose, nice and long with both arms. Palms pressing to the floor, fingertips, and then forehead dropping into the mat. Stay there and breathe a couple of rounds. Breathe in, lift up, come up to tabletop. I have a naughty little puppy today. Come across, he ran away from me. Couple of rounds of cat-cow here, so exaggerate that. You know how I am with cat-cow. Funky it up as much as you like. A little sway of your hips from side to side as the ribs lift. Then as you drop the ribs to the floor, eye gaze up and maybe a little sway of your hips from side to side. Keep breathing as you move through that flow. One breath, one move. Keep that fluidity in the movement and challenging the range wherever you need to. Then take a breath, come back to center. Tuck your toes, lift up with the belly. We're sinking all the way back, taking a little toe stretch. If you'd like to add a little bit more, you can sit back onto your heels. Take those pinkies out from underneath the body. Coming into prayer behind the back of the body and opening your throat all the way. So hairs touching on the t-shirt for some of you who can do that. If you're able to catch a good prayer, try and bring a flat palm together. Take a breath, we're looking all the way forward, releasing hands down in front. Coming up onto your knuckles. So I've turned the palms facing in and then super strong in the knuckles so that you can feel that you're pressing away from the floor. Tuck your chin super tightly to your throat. Keep the belly lifted. Heel toe or bring your knees in a little closer together and then send the right leg back. So super strong in your wrist, flexing out through the heel and drawing the belly all the way up. Try and add that a little height to your heel without opening your hip. Then sliding that knee all the way to the mat, smooth move to change side, kick out the back, really extend through your heel as strongly as you can. Knuckles evenly pressing to the floor, belly staying in, lifting that heel up a little higher as long as your hip doesn't open. Sliding your knee back down to the mat, palms move flat, a little roll of your fingers if you need to. Tucking your toes, lifting your hips, down dog. Chest pressing all the way through. Little sway of your hips from side to side, maybe walking out your dog. Then looking forward, moving forward, bringing your knees back down to the mat. Big toes come together and your child's pose off to the right. So both arms reaching over, eye gaze dropping in between, and feel your hips moving back. Staying low and forward, come all the way across. Really lengthen out the arms so you can feel that side stretch in the side body. Come back to center, press out, push out, tuck your toes under, sitting back onto your heels. Interlacing your fingers, pressing the knuckles forward, tips of your thumbs come together, inhale to lift up. Keeping the ribs low, eye gaze to float all the way past your fingers if you can, elbows pulling back, feel that good pull up towards the roof. Then gently coming down, resting down onto your palms. This time, heel of the palm is facing in. Sorry if you can't see so fingers are out towards the edge of your mat. Press your pointer and your thumb to the mat so that we're looking after the wrist. Without too much fuss, lift up with the belly, right arms reaching forward. Try not to move the body at all. Eye gaze stay down towards your toes. Ear is super close to your arm if not touching. Smooth move to change sides without too much fuss. So don't let the hips move. Feel that energy as you slowly lift into the balance. Then gently lower down, sending back into child's pose, sit back onto your heels, and this time both hands swing around to catch hold of your heels. Let your elbows fall forward and your brow fall to the floor. Try and sit back onto your heels. So I know some of you might feel like you're falling forward. Try and sit back. So touch, but sitting on your heels. Take a breath. Lift up, hands come back to your knees, sitting back onto your heels, tuck your toes. So toes tucked under. I'm going to add a little bit more here now. You're going to lean back just a little. So some of you might stay grabbing on, holding onto your heels. Some of you might be able to bring fingertips to the floor. Of course, there's more. You guys make sure that you're moving within your Friday morning feels. If you're able to, drop down to your elbows and your knees float from the mat. Allow your throat to open if you're all the way there. If you lower down, use your hands to press all the way back up, chest coming back to center. Bring your knuckles down in front, and this time fingers are facing each other. Try and have a nice straight line from underarm to wrist. If you've worked out where we're going, left leg, right arm without the hips moving. So super slow as you transition. It might help to bring your knees in a little closer together. One smooth move, both limbs move out and hold. Keeping that belly lifting, strong reach forward and a super strong reach back. Then gently lower all the way back in. Try not to shuffle or move your hips too much. Smooth transition to the other side. One smooth move, both limbs together. Releasing, coming back to center, tucking your toes, lifting your hips. You might be down dog for those who are with me. Heels working a little closer to the floor. Floating your right leg to a three-legged dog and then softly bringing that foot all the way through, landing on the outs or inside of your foot, your hand, sorry. Dropping down into the hip, we're going to float that top arm up. If you wanted to add more, you could tuck your toes and lift your knee from the mat or stay nice and low, but drop into your hips no matter which version you have. Front big toes pressing to the floor. Knees tucking in nice and tightly towards your underarm and chest. Then gently coming all the way in, palms on the inside, and then you're walking away from that leg. Working to keep both arms nice and straight, pressing away from the floor like your handstand or down dog position. Dropping your hips towards the mat and keeping that front knee nice and pressing to the floor. Walk your hands back to center. Going to send the hips backwards so you've straightened out through that front leg. Hands staying nice and low if you can. If you're able to add a little bit more, the leg hand, so the one right next to that foot, is going to float up and open up. So you're in this runner's lunge position. Then gently bringing that back hand to the mat. Bring your knees back to the floor. Press up, push up for down dog if that's your float. Take a little challenge here. Heels are pressing to the floor, chest pressing to your thighs, and then left leg to float up. Softly bring that foot all the way through. Down to your knee if you can. I can't hear how softly you're bringing that foot to the floor, right? Hips are dropping to the mat. Your inside leg, so that knee arm is lifting up. Press away from the floor. If you wanted to tuck your toes and lift, you can do that. Knees staying nice and tight towards your inner thigh. Releasing, coming back, hand come back on the inside, and then you're walking away from that leg. Keeping that front big toe pressing, a little strength in the foot and knee. Come back to center. Send your hips backwards, straighten out that front leg as best you can. And if you wanted to add more, the leg hand is lifting up, floating up. Come back to center, a little bend in that standing leg, bring your knees back closer together, lift up into your down dog. And then look forward and make your way to the top of your mat. You could step, hop, jump. Folding into a nice deep forward fold. Staying there, letting the toes press to the mat. Left hand staying low, right hand floating up and then wrapping around the arch of your back. Eye gaze to follow all the way to the roof if you can. Take a look down at your fingers, release your hand. Change arms, lift up, open up, stay forward for those who can. Those who are super deep, keep that palm nice and flat. Wrap the hand around the arch of your back and fold in deep. Bend your standing leg, release your hands. Hands move together at your heart. Lean forward to lift up, shoulders pull back, your back at the top of your mat. Toes together, heels apart. Just sit. On an inhale, float both arms to lift up and grab hold of your right wrist. Sorry. So as you're lengthening up through that nice tight grip, shoulders relaxed a little, toes together, heels apart. Take your right leg over your left, so you crossed over, and then press your right hips away. Reaching out, keeping that pull of the arms nice and long. Breathing with control. Come back to center. Release your hands down by your side and fold in. So you haven't changed your legs. Coming to that cross leg forward fold. Work at keeping big toes connected. A little softening of your knees, hands move together at your heart, pull your shoulders back, come up nice and tall. Untangle the legs, toes come back together. Inhale to reach up, grabbing hold of the left wrist. So make and feel your little corrections, but you're pulling the arms up nice and high. Left leg comes across the body to tuck over into a flat foot and then press the hips away. Come back to center, feel all 10 toes pressing to the floor, releasing to your forward fold nice and deep. If you guys are comfortable in your forward fold, fingertips are in line with your toes, palms are flat, eye gaze to shin, chin to chest. Bend your standing leg, move forward, hands come together at your heart. Interlace your fingers, and that right leg that should be at the back, you're going to bring it forward all the way up, interlace your fingers and grab hold. So shoulders dropping down, that belly drawing in, flexing out through that foot, come up nice and high if you can without falling out of balance. So right leg should be lifted. If you're all on right leg with me, then left hand grabs hold of that foot. You could hold here as your option. If you wanted to have a little bit more, extend out into a straight leg and then reach back right hand. Then take a look forward, come back to center, bend that knee all the way in, grab hold of the knee or the shin and then slide that foot to the floor. Shake out your standing leg if you need to, interlace your fingers. Left leg coming up nice and high, belly drawing in, find a little stability. If you are leaning back, you want to lean forward. There you go. Make sure your foot is flat. By leaning back to hold on to the thigh, you're going to be off balance right from the start. You can hang here if you'd like to have a little bit more. Stay leaning forward, grab hold of your foot with the other hand. Kick out in front if you want to extend to straight leg. If you want to reach back, take a look forward, bend that standing leg, grab hold of the shin, let your foot move to the floor, shoulders back and belly in, hands move together at your heart. Step your right leg back and set up for a version of triangle. So remember, your front foot is facing out, your back foot is, front foot facing forward, back foot is facing out. Arms extending nice and long and then interlacing behind the back of your head. Drawing the belly in, we're sending the hips back, dropping that elbow in towards your knee if you're able to. So that front straight leg. Oh, stay there, hold. If you would like to add a little bit more, that bottom hand can release and reach out in front. Yep, good job. Come back to that interlace behind the back of the head, breathe in, come all the way up, wrap around for revolve triangle. One hand moves around the arch of your back, top arms lengthen up, hips move forward, reach back, eye gaze at the top fingers. Release, come back to center, hands come to your heart, step to the top of your mat, feet flat. Changing legs, left leg to step back. Both legs nice and strong, extend into straight arms to really open up and lift up. Interlace behind the back of your head and then drop into your side angle stretch. So you want to keep your chest nice and open. Even though you're dropping your elbow down, try not to round your shoulders to come deep. If you wanted to add your strength poke, bottom hand releases and comes across the body out in front. Come back to that interlace. Pull the body all the way up, wrap around the arch of your back, reach open. Eye gaze past fingers. Release, come back to center, step to the top of your mat, feet flat, control how you get there. Let's go left leg to step back nice and long. Land on your toes on your back foot and your hips are squared up to the front of your mat. On a breath in, pull the body all the way up, arms come to lift. On your exhale, turn towards your thigh. Reach back, hold. Palms to face up, eye gaze through to the back fingers. Dropping into that lunge as strongly as you can, hold. Inhale to sweep the arms all the way up. Press out into straight legs, step forward, toes come together. Change to the other side, take that nice long step back, land on your toes. Float the arms as you drop in. And then turn towards your thigh and look back. Float the arms all the way up as you come back to forward, pressing out into a straight leg, stepping forward, toes come together, hands come together. Relax into the shoulders just a little, heel toe out and drop down into your yogi squat. Everyone's favorite. So last night in class we used a towel. A rolled up towel underneath your heels in this position will be more comfortable for some of you who don't enjoy your squat. So just remembering that this is practice for the position. So heels are turned in, toes are turned out, feet are flat, and be mindful of your rolling in on your ankle. Try and guide your knees out past your feet. Hands pressing together, elbows moving the knees out as wide as you can for some of you. And we're going to make our way down into your butterfly pose, whichever graceful way you can. Maybe a pistol squat for some of you who love it, or maybe bring both hips to the mat. Nice, Al. Toes together, heels in nice and tight. Knees pressing to the mat, and then instead of holding onto your feet, hands are going to move back behind the body. So press down into a straight arm as best you can. I'm staying up on the version of maybe cupcake fingers or stretching into the fingers so that all of my fingers are to the floor but my palm is lifted. And then press the knees to the mat, press the big toes together and allow your throat to open. Pull your shoulders back just like you would in a version of bridge pose. So think about this just in an upside down manner. The toes are pressing together as if they were pressing to the floor. Shoulder blades are pulling together underneath the body. Throat is fully open. Take a breath. Release your hands out in front, coming all the way in. Reach down in front as far as you can. So if your reach is more like down towards your toes, that's okay. If you're able to come all the way, drop the elbows in, try and allow them to pull yourself in a little more. Be mindful of that position if those toes are popping out. Mine are today for some reason. It might be this 12-degree weather. Then breathe in, lift up, send the chest up nice and tall. We're releasing the legs, feet not as wide as your mat. So just a teeny bit on the inside and not too far out in front of you. So you can keep your toes to the floor, but knees up high around the elbows, and then slide your hands in underneath. So elbows come in and low, hands come underneath and through, and then to the top of your feet. And then tuck your chin in tightly to your throat. Keep your big toes pressing to the mat and feel that breath really pulling the shoulder blades apart at the back of the body. Then on your inhale, we're looking forward, keeping the hands where they are, heel toeing your feet in together so they're in a version of diamond. So which means that they're further away from your body than butterfly. I can drop my elbows all the way in and then brows dropping in. For some of you, if your brow touches on your heel, try and lengthen your body so that your brow is moving more like the middle of your foot. Release your hands, keep your knees down nice and low, and now we're reaching out more out in front. Try and feel that good stretch out while your knees are staying nice and low, and I'm able to bring a flat palm to the mat rather than just fingertips. Then slide the hands in, use everything to press up, sitting back on top of the sit bones. Keep right leg nice and long, left leg sliding in, and big toe pressing up right up to the inner thigh. Interlace your fingers, press the knuckles out in front, and then inhale to lift up. Eye gaze to lift up. Add this as your strength pose, so elbows pulling in. Knees are nice and low, eye gaze floating all the way to your fingers. I know you guys think this is cute, slide your hands back to your heart center, but there is about to be World War III. This guy is eyeballing this one. Come across your body, grab hold of your knee, wrap around the arch of your back, and then look all the way over your shoulder. So hopefully the spine feels super long. You're looking over your back shoulder. So the way that back shoulder is turning, super strong out through that straight leg. Take a look forward, come back to center and release that grip, change legs. Sliding in. Big toe pressing in. Shoulders pulling back, interlace your fingers, feel that push up and lift up. You might also, once you found your range up with your arms, notice if you've leant forward a little bit. Try and sit back a little bit more. Pull the palms up to be nice and flat up towards the roof. If you wanted to add a little bit more, there's a little float of your heel from the mat. If you can, belly drawing in, elbows pulling back a little bit more. On your breath out, take that rotation, look all the way back. Come back to center. Release that grip. We're extending both legs out super straight and long and then folding in nice and deep. So your straight leg forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Work within your range, but if you feel like you're warm, on your exhale, challenge a little depth. Come a little stronger with the legs, a little more, the torso down to thigh. Breathing in, pulling the shoulders all the way back. Release your hands back by your sit bones. Slide your feet in. Lift up with your heart. If you know your full version of your tabletop position, you can go there, or stay in the lower options where the heart's pulling forward and throat open. Full version is when your hips are up nice and high. If you're feeling a little lower than your knees, you want to try and get them up higher than your knees. Stay there and hold. Allow the throat to open, breathe. Big toes pressing to the floor. Then gently lower down, hips coming back to the mat. Extending into straight legs, you're into lying down. Right leg coming into chest. And then you're moving into a half happy baby. So that's where your foot is up facing the roof. Your knees pulling in underneath your underarm. If you're able to take both hands to that foot, then you're pulling in nice and tight to the floor. The straight leg is strong. You're trying to bring the knee closer to the underarm or closer to the floor. Then extending into a little bit straighter leg, come across your body for your twisted roots. Let your knee drop all the way to the side. I use my hand to help lift the ribs and press over. And if you're able to bring your knee to the mat, try that. You guys know a few options. If you have some space, you could extend the top leg, grab hold of the toes. You could bend the bottom leg to grab hold of the toes. If you caught any of those binds, release them softly, rolling onto your back, extending that straight leg and changing legs. So slide the knee in, send the foot up to the roof, hold both hands if you can to pull the knee to the floor. I take the first few breaths to really allow that hip to be challenged. I've got some strength in the arms to pull the foot and knee close to the floor without compromising what's happening in the torso. So both sets of ribs, the spine is pressing to the mat, not exaggerating the arch in the back at all. Then kicking out into a straight leg, coming across the body, dropping that knee all the way over. Enjoy a little release if you're able to get one. If you wanted to catch and release, you can do that. Then rolling back onto your back, coming into a full happy baby. So both knees in towards your underarm, both feet up towards the roof, and then adding some strength as the elbows go wide to pull your knees and thighs a little closer to the body. Play, for those body movers, play with your pelvis here a little bit. So try and press more of your lower hips to the mat, but keep your feet in that upright position. So some of you might be able to visualize this as a crow. If you haven't already and you wanted to, try and bring your right knee to the floor. Control that balance, keeping the hips low, and then your left. Then come back to center, release your feet to the floor. You're heading into your something upside down, so maybe your headstand, handstand, tripod, legs in the air, legs up the wall. Stay there and breathe. Feel that lengthening coming from hips to heels, no matter which option you're in. Nice, 10. And making your way down, so you have a transition pose on the way out, so you may plow, roll, then gently releasing your whole body to the floor. If you've been on your head, take a moment in child's pose. We're not going to rush into anything. Sliding in, if you're on your back, slide into Supta Baddha Konasana, your reclined butterfly, soles of your feet together, knees nice and wide. Hang here for a minute, try and feel the feet meeting in the middle of the body, try and feel the spine for a little bit straight body. Pressing the toes together. And then lifting the feet up, keeping them in that butterfly position. So Ella, if you want to join them. So here's butterfly, knees wide, soles of the feet resting on the floor. Then float your feet from the mat, but keep butterfly. Keep your feet together. Grab hold of the ankles if you're able to. And then you're pressing the shins into your hands. Roll so the heart comes a little bit more open, pulling the shoulder blades a little closer together. So it's like a butterfly fish. If you're able to slide up onto the top of your head, you could add that. Then releasing the whole body to the mat. Release your feet as wide as your mat, knees coming together and feet pressing to the floor in that flat foot. Little sway of your knees from side to side. Floating the hands out over your head, holding onto your elbows. So a nice tight grip if you can. Let your right knee fall across your body, and then left knee is going to come on the inside to fall towards your right ankle. I'd like you to try and keep your shoulders and elbows to the floor, so that might mean you move into cactus arms, or if you're able to hold, then challenge a little range. Lifting up with your knee, let a little sway from side to side, and then change legs. Right knee coming across your body as low as your ankle if you can. Chloe, shush. And breathe in, lift up with your knees. Bring them all the way into your chest. Float your hands to grab hold. If you grab hold of fingers, do that. If you can grab hold of wrists, do that. If you can grab hold of elbows and keep your head on the floor comfortably, be there. Feel that belly pulling to the mat. I'm pressing the toes away like accelerator feet. So this is a version of child's pose. On your next breath, going to cross the ankles and smile, and then rock up into a seated position without too much fuss. Feel that little lift of the body, roll out through the shoulders and let your knees come to the mat. Wrap your hands around the arch of your back, cross them over a little. If you're full lotusing here, Nikki, if you like, nice and high up onto your hip crease, then you're working to grab hold of freezing toes. Take a big breath in and then fold in, hips staying connected. Release the grip if you have it. Inhale to sit tall, pull the shoulders back, release the hands to your knees. Coming into Anjali Mudra, palms pressing together right in front of the body and thumb resting on your collarbone. So it's a little higher up onto the collarbone. A little brow, and then that maybe means that your chin touches on top of your fingers. Press the palms together, full tips of your fingers, knuckles, wrist, and palm. Release your hands, make your way to lying down, your Shavasana. So if it is cold for you, grab a jumper or a blanket or a towel or something to rest over you. Option, I can see some of you are in the lounge room. An option for you is to put your behind the knee to your foot on the lounge in a little version of legs in the air if you like. Or you could stay in Shavasana, whichever way you like. Palms facing up. depending on the sounds of your space. Hopefully you're able to make your breathing a little louder than the sounds of your home. Adding that softness to your face by a little smile. Moving the breath down deep into the belly. Maybe playing with that pause breath, reminding yourself that you're in control of how fast, how slow, the depth, the length, the energy applied to your breath. This is the yin part of the practice. The softness to the strength of those moving poses. On your next inhale, move the legs just a little, maybe swaying the feet from side to side. On your exhale, bring your hands together in front of the heart, interlace your fingers. And then reach up towards the roof and then let the arms drop all the way to the floor. So with that good press out through the palm, let the elbows press to the mat, shoulders press to the mat. Make your right leg a little longer than your left. Left leg a little longer than your right. Arms both as long as you can, even if that means your shoulders lift. Then relax your body, slide your feet to the floor, a little sway of your knees from side to side. Rolling onto your right shoulder. Hanging there for a moment. Then making your way to seated. Finding that comfortable cross-leg position. All unmuted. On your inhale, hands move to your heart, relaxing into your shoulders. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Good job, everybody who's new. You did great. Sorry. You did great.